Okay, so there we go. Sorry about the little bird sound. So, we have our chickens. Hey, relax, it's okay. What? You're such a goofball. Relax, girl. Come here. Come here, girl. Wanna work on my buddy? Huh? Wanna help me work on my buddy? Is that what you want to do? No. Too scared, Shane? Hey. Relax. You go back in the box. Oh, I forgot to make a comment too here. Okay. Let's get down to business. Okay. Okay. Come on. Come on. Flip. Nope. Don't want to do that. Okay. On the other side. Take off that. Now. Okay. Now the front part. Derailleur. Now. Awesome. And the entire wheel. Off. And there you go. Now my handle. Yay. So derailleur. And that is the 10-pound wheel. Now, I tried it out. Yeah, whatever. I'll do it this way. Ah, the cow! Okay, that's that. Now, time to get this out. This is the stock inner tube still, so this is working. I mean, it's very, very good. But I do have slime inside of it, so it does have that squishiness to it. Now I just need to take off this tread. boom, there we go. That tread's gone. And this is double walled. You can see that there's definitely the thicker screw hole pieces. Okay, now for my new tube tread. This way, and that means tread pattern should be this way. So, start off on the outside. Should probably start on this side tread. Otherwise, we'll need the tire down like this. Just sort of push it inwards all the way for the tire to tread. It's a little hard for new treads. The outside wall is actually rather easy to put on, except it's the inside wall that is the most annoyingest. Okay, that's it. Scratched. Now, my famous little pump. Oh, hello. What is the dimensions from the axle frame in a weird triangle? I don't know off the top of my head, but I believe the axle length for the triangle, this piece, is 135 millimeters. So I believe this. Come on, stop, guys. I believe this is 135 millimeters in tread in the axle length. So anything within less than 135 will fit. This does have, what is it? Screw spacer pieces, but it's a freewheel hub. So yeah. Relax, guys. Jeez. A little bit of air in this. Just enough to get the rubber compound. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'll type it anyways since there's a lot of noise. Oh, you're talking about the wheel size. Oh, yeah, like I said, I don't know about putting a 27-inch wheel in here. Because with this tread, if I put this back in, this tread already sort of is already basically up on the top frame, and this piece is already near the bottom frame. So I don't think a 27-inch wheel will be able to work because it is more length in the entire wheel itself, and the length width ability. So it might have an issue with rubbing against the entire frame itself. But I'll have to double check once I put this tire back on to see if that's just the air tube piece. There it is. So yeah, I'll double check once I put the tire back on and see if it can. Yeah. You have about a finger and a half of length left. I'm gonna go find a measuring tape and see how long that is. So we have less than, you have basically barely of an inch from the frame of the tire. So it won't accept a 27.5 inch tire. Sorry. It won't accept a 27.5 inch tire because there's barely an inch of play in the entire wheel. Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, the tires, the bike itself, I mean, with the 26-inch tires, they're already awesome. And you wouldn't be able to use V brakes with the 27.5-inch wheels. Even if you did, you would have to dedicate yourself to disc brakes because the rim brakes wouldn't be able to basically clamp onto the farther rim surface. Though there is the Hyper Havoc, which is a 27-inch mountain bike, and it does have V brakes. I'm not sure if it does have a rear disc brake. I'll have to look later on and comment back to you about that. But you can look on this on Walmart's website or Hyper's website, and then take it yourself to Walmart and see the photos and sort of close-up view of the Havoc and see if it has a rear mount for a disc brake piece. Because if it does, then suppose the wheel would have a rotor mountable piece there too, if it also has a rear piece. Yeah, but like I said, it only has barely 1 inch of space. I mean, you're cutting it like super thin. So uh, unless you get road wheels on the bike, you're basically are going to be treading on nothing more than basically rubbing the tire on the frame of the wheel itself. So it might be an inch more, but you're also having to basically ride really pretty much on the thinness of thinness for the entire wheel itself. Okay. That's that. So your tire's on. Now I need to put power back in. Make sure this is routed correctly. Alright. Then just kept doing this. Just did. There we go. So If you got any other questions, just ask, dude. I'm gonna be recording for a bit, so ask away. I don't care. Well, currently, I have a. Hey. Currently, I have a modified speed control in here, so it's not the standard speed control, but I still get a pretty decent amount of range. It is using a throttle assist now instead of a pedal assist, so I have this throttle right here that has a power button, turn it on and off, and then down here I have my own little battery connector system that I made for the speed control. It's just a couple DC plugs. And then here's the speed control inside this little bag right here. And then I cut some wires. As you can see, I cut the bag up a bit. It's on the other side, but I basically cut the bag from down in the middle and then ran the wires down here through the middle of the frame area where this piece, this metal connector piece is, and between there, in between my wheel lock, and then here's the battery cable. So it's a little bit finicky, but I currently have the battery pack coming out of the hole of the bottom crank. As you can see down here, because the battery is in here, and the cables are actually for the battery is actually down bottom here. So the battery cables come here, and for the stock speed control, they actually go up here under the frame piece. There's a metal guard inside the bottom of the battery pack, and then the speed control is actually up here in the middle top of the frame. So it's kind of guarded. So that's why there's two little holes right here. If I can get this camera, there's two holes right here for the brake cables and the controller cable. So this really doesn't do anything. This just keeps it locked in the frame. So you just turn the key and it pops out, then return the key. So to turn it on, you just hold down the button for a couple seconds, second or two, and then I just have this like that. And then power on, and then the big wheel, after I float it a bit, turns on. But I still get a decent amount of range off of the bike, and it's quite nice. So you can see that I don't have a controller up here for the pedal assist, because when I switched to speed control, I basically removed the entire speed control and bought a new one. So this is a new speed control system, but it still runs 36 volts at the same 250 watts of power, but it's in throttle mode only. I would probably say with the throttle ability, I probably have a little bit more range than with the stock power that I had, because this doesn't really run as much punch power as the pedal assist stock speed control does. So it doesn't have as much torque for the power potency, but it still has a decent top end speed. I haven't clocked myself for how fast it goes with speed potency, but it seems to be pretty reasonably the same as what I had with the standard speed control. Maybe, if not, then it's probably just slightly less, maybe 15 miles per hour. But still pretty decent. But I'm not really worried much about the new speed control that I have, because, again, I'm just having this for now to, I'm just having the rear speed control for power right now until I get completely replacement for the rear motor, because the rear motor I'm planning to get a different hub motor that's a little bit more punch power, and it probably will be from Bafang, probably the Bafang 350 watt motor instead, and that way I can have the set system, so I can go 9-speed, and then I'm going to change out cranks for a Shimano Duroarm 3-by system, but I'm going to take off the outer and inner rings with just the middle ring like this does. This can actually fit a 3-by system, but I just have the middle ring insert at the moment. But these cranks are nice, and chain and everything is pretty decent. But yeah, the stock treads, these things are actually pretty nice. They're not the best. They're good compound. They're good compound, as the same as my new treads, but the tread pattern, as you can see, is more rounder compared to the new tread that I have. That's much more like, it has more straight surface to it compared to a round surface. So this allows it to basically keep more straight on flat ground, and also dig the edges more into the ground as you go off road. So that's why I'm upgrading tread patterns with new tread, because it allows me to have more grip and better performance off road. and overall on-road ability. Okay. I gotta adjust the mix because these don't have as much sound power as they should have, so I have to adjust those slightly. What? But yeah, the range I'm not really too much worried about. I mean, a lot of other people probably, obviously, but for me, the range is not really something I'm too worried about because, like I said, I'm going to be upgrading this bike, so it's going to have dual power performance, which gives me even more range, and it's going to have much more punch to it in general. So I have not only dual power, more range, but also I can use either systems at the same time. So the front will have a motor and the back will have a motor, and they'll be independently controlled. So I'll be able to use throttle with this and throttle with this, or use just throttle with this and let this freewheel. And then once this runs out of power, I can switch to this and go for range, or use both at the same time for starter performance of basically overall starting power. Hi. Okay. Wait, no, they're in here. This is a multi-tool. This is a Top Peak multi-tool. It's a 31 multi-tool set. This thing has been really helpful for me. Really love it. I don't think really need to do that though. So although I will need to adjust the timing. So, okay, let's see how the timing is. And my right one is biting too much. So I need to adjust the timing pressure to allow it to be less. Still off. Oh wait, am I loose? Yeah, I'm supposed to tighten it, not loosen it. I'm such an idiot. Tighten it makes it back better. Slightly less. Don't be shy. If you got any more questions, just keep going. That's good. Okay. Peace out then. close range, so try. That little friction on my feet. And I forgot. Everything's dead. Oh, down. Finally done. It's okay, Whisper. Relax. There's a leaf in my erase. Nice. So I guess that's it for now. Rack on the hand. I might have to readjust in the future, but that's another nice. It's pretty good. I really like this rack. Let's give it a little run. resistance is good. Oh yeah, that's good. That's really good. When the tire rolls faster from when it slows down, that's a good thing. Because then you know your tire rolling resistance is fantastic. Most people don't get that is that when a tire, like if it slows down and then sort of rolls a bit faster for a second when it's starting to slow down, that means that there's like a different counterweight to it, and that it's trying to roll that counterweight to the bottom. And if it does that, that means you have a good rolling resistance ability to your tire. If a tire doesn't like after roll like that or keep rolling and it slows down too fast, that means you have a very bad rolling resistance when you bike. Or so this can be either from your axle bolts being too tight and crunching on the bearings too much, or your rotor or your V-brakes are friction onto the brake pads themselves and causing the wheel to stop too much. So you'll need to adjust that to have the rolling resistance fixed. Now I know this doesn't seem like a big issue for a lot of people, but it definitely kind of affects your ride distance and your higher speed motion, because that little slowdown will affect your higher speed rolling resistance, and then you'll notice that from even your slower rolling resistance ability. So here's all my other stuff. So my bag, some tools, parts, and whatnot. And these are new cables I'm going to put on for the battery later in the future. And these are clamps for the rack that I don't need. This is a bit more of the chain ring that I currently have on. These are grips that I had previously. They're just Velo grips. The reason I took these off is because they weren't like the surface as these, and they were kind of cramping my hands too much. So I switched out for those style instead of this. And this is the other brake rotor that you get for Sev 2. This is my Dorora brake shifter that I've had since my Mongoose. I'm still thinking of trying to put this back on because it's the left shifter brake lever, and I want to use the bottom shifting mechanism, because this shifting goes that way. So the brake handle is your shifter in general. It's not anything else. And then you have your standard braking lever ability. And it's all metal, besides the plastic guard on this area and on the bottom that I cut off the other thumb piece because it was aluminum. So I just used to shift the brake lever itself instead of the de-shifting lever, which was the thumb itself. So I might use, if I can find a metal top piece, which is the adjustment of this. Can't use this because this is actually bigger than this is. So I want to find one that's a bigger metal adjustment rod, and then I'll be able to use this again. And the shifting mechanism I probably might actually use for the braking, like the parking brake system, so I can just set the park brake like and boom, and then de-shift and release. And then my grease that I used, helmets, light, again some tools, locks, keys, and other stuff. So this is the Shimano tool remover for the old, the stock Shimano integrated crank system. Bunch of hex screws. These are old, so I really don't use these anymore because I have the multi-tool. This I kind of kept, but I might just throw this away. This is for my Yukon Trail. This is what I use to have point to kind of use to put the loop straps on my rack on that. A few other tools, crank removers for square tapers and Octolink, and then pedal sizers. These go from the 1.6 to 1.9, I think. Kind of pedal difference. This is the preload tool for the current cranks, reflector for the rack that I got, key for a lock, then pretty much it. And then I have some stuff in here, some lights. This is the other shifter, friction shifter. Another light. And this is a Velo seat post clamp that I'm not using because it doesn't have that end tip piece to it. I don't like that. And that's pretty much it. So yeah. And then, oh yeah. The reason why you probably see that this is like this, but yet this side is different because I cut this off with a hacksaw and cut off that much space to allow the throttle system on it. But since it only locks with one side, it's not bad, and it doesn't wiggle. So this side locking is actually quite good. And I do also have end cap locks. So you can see little end cap lock pieces. And these were $10 for a set of two of these, so not too expensive. I'm not sure if I'm going to switch these out. I might keep these brake levers, but figure a way if I can get these buttons removed and put on the new buttons from the new speed control for the front motor, then I'll do that, because I technically do want to have the shut off at the front. That way I'm not always speeding up with the head of the front motor, especially in turns, which will have quite an issue of turning mechanism wise. But I was thinking about taking these off, because before I wasn't thinking about the brake shut off system. I was gonna put Shimano derailleurs because I'm gonna go full on Shimano derailleur system, which means brake levers, couplers on the rear front, the cranks, cassette, and the chainring system. But these I don't know. I'm still probably gonna put some derailleurs on the couplers themselves, but that'll be later in the future after I get my power stuff all together in my new seat, because I do plan on getting a different seat style versus a comfort seat. But either way, and if you're looking for this, I'm going to actually put this in the link below, because I know a lot of people want a seat that's nice and comfortable. And this is actually, I mean, this is like really comfortable. Like literally, you can sit on this for ages and hours and whatever. This is a Yukon Trail seat, so you'll have to buy it from the Yukon Trail website, but I'll put the link of it down below. It's really good. It's actually for the Yukon Trail bike that I had for these guys. These are the battery and the motor that I kept, but probably gonna throw them away because I already cut some wires out of that to extend for this bike. I might use the batteries for that and make a 36 volts, probably 5 Ah system, and then put in a front bag. But at the moment, that's only a 24 volts at 10 Ah. So yeah. But anyways, that is my Hyper E ride. And that is the end of the video of questions and whatnot. If you have any questions, any more questions or such forth, comment down below and ask away. So I'll see you guys later. Peace out.